Yo, what's going on, everybody? Your boy, here with Bricky, you guys today, and welcome to my channel. Do all the things you can like the video, comment, and subscribe as we get on our journey to get to 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So we do live streams here on YouTube. Today's video, though, we got Bricky again. Bricky is back. Got a new reaction with Bricky. He's on the Titanfall video. I love Titanfall. It's a great pastime of mine. And we might have some clips in here of me smashing Titanfall, just so you guys can see how phenomenal your boy was at the Titanfall. But today, well, it's not about me. It's about Bricky. Do all things as I said before. I kind of like had a brain fart. It's actually the second recording of this video because I didn't notice that. Look, long story short, OBS had an update. I didn't have audio. Now we do. Let's get to the video.
Description, comment here. Thank you for sponsoring this video. Welcome everybody to another Bricktacular day in the front.
Bricktacular.
My name is
Got
Bricky.
our coffee today.
I've been taking
a
bit of a walk down memory lane, if you haven't noticed. The sun is out. The breeze is light. The bird, only one bird. Bird up. Hello. Is chirping. And after a few paces, I noticed that God has left me a gift. An unmarked plastic bag containing an improvised explosive device with a note on it saying, "Report. EA cancels joint Apex Legends and Titanfall game." I think I responded adequately. Hearing about this canned project and seeing what it was going to be was heartbreaking. Playing as Blisk with a repaired BT inspired by Doom Eternal, legends from Apex in the game would help you buff stuff up and give you abilities. Oh, I again responded accordingly. It's kind of on an Always Sunny.
So this is actually where I noticed that my video didn't have audio. So we weren't too far into the video, but what I was going to say when I noticed we didn't have audio was that it's so funny how development studios and publishers don't like money. As in, they announce things that people are getting hyped for and excited for, then they cancel it. The idea of this Titanfall Apex game would have sold like hotcakes, would have made EA a lot of freaking money. People want more Titanfall. They keep saying they want more Titanfall, and combining both Apex and Titanfall together in any kind of form or fashion for a single player game would have sold a lot of copies, made a lot of money. But they got canceled. This isn't the first time we've seen studios who decide that they're gonna like cancel, you know, what would have been a successful like game that people want. Like you see Ubisoft, people are begging for Splinter Cell. They won't make one. They're making one now, but it took them freaking like how many years for them to finally decide to make one. People been begging Rockstar for a Bully sequel. People begging Rockstar for every like a number of different games. Midnight Club, you know, people begging for Red Dead Redemption online mode to get more content, and ask for Red Dead Redemption to get a remake. People are constantly asking studios for these games and stuff like that, and so it's just like, we don't want your money. And it's like, huh? We're telling you exactly what we want, and you're not giving it to us. And that's what the right here. People wanted this Titanfall Apex game, and EA is like, nah.
Binge. But as I'm sure has been made very obvious, it got me wanting to revisit the start of all this. The beginning of these times. The times that brought intrigue, prestige, division, and now sadness. Now, I don't own Titanfall 1 on PC, and never will, but I did have it on the Xbox One way back in the day, and I still have it downloaded on my Xbox fridge. Insert meme of player count plus ghost stare plus music. You know the drill.
I love Titanfall.
But that is still people playing it. I was considering waiting until
like, here's the thing. I understand it's about Titanfall. I'm gonna pause a little early again. Y'all know me. Here's the thing about Titanfall. Titanfall might be the best game that didn't have, you know, the major success that the company wanted to have, but it's still the best game that revolutionized the game industry. There's a moments in gaming that changed history. Halo does a lot of the industry innovation. Titanfall innovated the shooting genre when the shooting genre got stale. At the time when Titanfall and Titanfall 2 were coming out, the shooting genre was pretty much just dead. It was all the same stuff. Battlefield and Call of Duty, Medal of Honor were all doing the modern era thing, and it was just everyone's just tired and fatigued of modern shooters. And then Titanfall came out, and people were like hooked on it. Like, it didn't sell a lot because the marketing for Titanfall was really bad. It got released in some bad windows when it comes to both games, but the popularity was so high for Titanfall and Titanfall 2 that it changed gaming when it comes to shooters. You started seeing people like Call of Duty make games with excellent suits. You start seeing Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. All of that happened because of Titanfall. And it came to your shooters having thruster packs, wall running, and things like that. That's all because of Titanfall. Even when it comes to Halo started really embracing having thrusters and you know a more speed of gameplay because of Titanfall. Titanfall sped up the gameplay of the FPS genre, and every FPS studio started to copy that. It's like, look, this game might not be selling millions upon millions of copies, but people love this game. Let's copy them because we already have the money. We can copy their formula, and that's why you started getting these games. Titanfall innovated the FPS genre, and it was such an amazing game. And it just sucks so bad that EA dropped the ball, because Titanfall could be an amazing like AAA franchise, but EA won't let it be great.
Next year for this video, since Titanfall 1 came out in 2014, and I've been on my decade-old stuff binge lately, but I'm jumping the gun because my emotions were messed with. On Xbox, you can still get games of attrition. You'll see that most of the same players over and over again, and I do warn you, some of these players are very good, but you can still get games. So, perfect. I load up and reminisce about the days that brought this franchise to life.
I was a nightmare in Titanfall. Me and your lobby was not a great thing.
The story of Titanfall is an interesting one, not just because the creation of the game, but also the creation of the studio. Respawn Entertainment has a tumultuous past, as they were formed from the remnants of an Infinity Ward Exodus group. Some of you may already know this story, but after Modern Warfare 2 and during the development of Modern Warfare 3, there was a major upheaval in the studio as the two heads of Infinity Ward, Vince Zampella and Jason West, were fired by Activision for insubordination. This was under the assumption that the two were in secret talks with EA about leaving the company, along with nearly half the Infinity Ward staff, to form a new company and work on their own video games. Now, Activision have long been known to be scum, but I am of the opinion that the firing was not under false pretenses, as Vince and Jason immediately countered with a $36 million lawsuit for unpaid bonuses from Activision after the success of Modern Warfare 2. This was followed by another lawsuit by 40, yes, 40 employees of Infinity Ward, stating that 60% of bonuses were being held ransom until the development of Modern Warfare 3. Now, I've had the privilege to speak to a few ex-Infinity Ward employees from that time, some via email, some at conventions, and one I even ran into at a coffee shop in LA. That was kind of funny. They speak of this event as like a traumatic memory. Not a single one of them wanted to go into detail. I asked, they said, I'd rather not, and that was the end of it. But in an amendment to the lawsuit by the employees, it said allegedly that Activision cracked the whip on intimidation on its employees and created a more than normal hostile work environment. This had alleged secret interrogations of employees, stationing security guards at exits to intimidate people, and more, which, if this is all true, combined with the withholding of bonuses, putting people in financial difficulty, and possibly having the entire company split in two, saying goodbye to friends you've made for years, it's no surprise nobody wanted to talk to me about it. And it should go without saying, but you know, it bears repeating, fuck you, Bobby Kotick, and your lawyers that will most likely come after me if I didn't put that stupid disclaimer at the beginning. So, the Infinity Ward Exodus goes to create their first game, Titanfall, partnered with EA, which, you know, things were bad when EA was the better option. This game was trying to be a hybrid of shooters, keeping to a traditional FPS style shooter with some empowered movement systems and mixing it with giant robots. They were doing something rather contentious at the time as well, which was having no single player campaign, which now doesn't really seem like a huge deal, but back then that was genuinely surprising. Even if the campaign was bad, most FPS multiplayer games had a campaign. And finally, much like how we discussed the difficulties COD Ghost had on the Xbox One in my Extinction video, Titanfall also was to be released on the new console pretty early in its lifespan. So under new management came a group of individuals looking to make a multiplayer.
One of the key things not mentioned there about Titanfall 1's release, it also released on Xbox only for a long period of time. So that's also another reason why like Titanfall 1 didn't succeed. It succeeded enough in popularity, but it didn't succeed as much as Titanfall 2, because Titanfall 2 was just out on all platforms. But when it came to Titanfall 1, it was on Xbox only for a long period of time. And again, it released at a bad time. Titanfall is the FPS version of Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, where they constantly release these games that could be massively successful at the worst time. Horizon, both games released at the same time or same month as a Juggernaut franchise. Titanfall is the same way, where it released every single time at when there's a Juggernaut franchise come out with a game. So that's a big reason why these games didn't succeed. Making your games exclusive especially if you're from like a third party studio, aka EA, Ubisoft, Square Enix, Activision. If you are a third party studio, you make your game exclusive to one platform, even if it's just for a freaking year or for a few months, you hurt your game sales. And also you can't bank on maybe the game be so popular that people, whatever we do release on these other platforms, people come to it. No, people just lose interest. When I hear that Square Enix makes a game a timed exclusive PlayStation title, I don't care anymore. Like, I'm not gonna, like, a year from now when that game finally comes out for Xbox or whatever, or PC, unless it's like a massively good game like Last of Us, which I am waiting for to come on PC, I won't care. You know, Last of Us I care about, but in its games, I don't give a fuck. Like Forspoken, for example, it's on Xbox, I think it's 2024. I won't give a shit because that it's not a, first off, it's not being viewed as a highly talented, like massively impressive video game. So by the time it does come out, I won't care. So making your games exclusive hurts people who just eventually just won't care. It's going to be a year. Who cares? Like, the game has come and gone when it comes, especially nowadays when it comes to crossplay and multiplayer. If a multiplayer game is only on one platform for a certain amount of time, people will stop caring way quicker because it's like, I already seen content creators play on two platforms with this game, and I'm not interested anymore because it's already a dead game. Air quotes on dead game.
Shooter.
Especially from a content perspective, like if you were a content creator back then, you're on Xbox, you making Titanfall content damn near every single day. By the time the game came out on PlayStation, no one gave a fuck about making content of Titanfall because it's already been a long time. It's already a dead game in terms of content creation. Content creation and dead game is different from like actual dead game. In terms of like content creation dead game, it's like no one's watching videos about this. Therefore, we're not making videos about it anymore.
Robots on the brand new Xbox at full price. It's a lot to live up to. How to do? Well, it's complicated.
Well, sweet Pacific Rim job, you're all loose and tight at the same time.
Titanfall 1 started off as a solid success, selling just over 1 million units in the first 3 weeks. This eventually grew to 10 million units globally later down the line. So while it may not have enjoyed the monumental success of certain Call of Duty games, it absolutely sold well. I personally stayed up late at night to go to a GameStop midnight release and pick it up and played it for far too many hours that very night. Remember midnight releases where you go to like a local game store or something like that and you'd wait in line and then they'd open the doors and everyone would cheer, and it's
what's funny, I know we're pausing too soon right now. There's people alive right now playing video games who have never seen a midnight release, don't know what midnight releases are, and will never experience what definitely midnight releases. I'm 31 years old, so I've been through a number of midnight releases. One of my favorite ones is that I want to say Halo Reach's release. That's when I got my Halo Reach Xbox, things like that. But you know, this wasn't planned. But I ran into high school friends at the midnight release for Halo Reach, and it's like we're just like talking and dapping it up, things like that. And it's like midnight releases, they're good memories. Like first off, there's a lot of community there. Like when it comes to the fact that you're embracing people who are there trying to play the same game as you. You're talking about that game, talking about the previous game. That if it's a sequel, it's a sequel to a franchise. It's a lot of camaraderie there, and it's a good atmosphere and good vibe. And it just sucks that it's dead, and it's mostly dead because digital games are dominant. And at least it's are dead because no one buys physical copies all that often anymore. Even myself, I haven't bought a physical copy of a video game since 360. So, you know, I haven't been at least since 360.
Grabbing Halo and stuff. God, I miss those days. The reception of the game was also quite strong, if having a bit of mixed here and there. With everyone I spoke to, all of my friends, everyone I played with, we all agreed that the game played like butter. The seamlessness of Titans and pilots was just a dream. I never expected a game would balance the ability to have tiny little humans and giant robots fighting each other and making it work in a multiplayer game, no less. But they did it. Maps were made for both Titans and pilots. There were options to play cat and mouse for both sides. It was a dream to play gameplay wise. Where the issues stemmed from were mostly its fake campaign. I use the word fake because that's kind of what it felt like. Where all the multiplayer campaign talk felt like PR discussion, and I'd argue that's what it was. The campaign boiled down to this: join a multiplayer lobby, hear a debrief, load into the game, and get a customized cutscene and drop animation. Have different dialogue throughout the match as well. Have ending dialogue or a cutscene, back to lobby, debrief, repeat. That was what constituted a campaign. And needless to say, I and many others were not pleased with it. It's not as if we needed a campaign itself fully, but Titanfall had planted fantastic roots in its universe building from the word go, and seeing it fleshed out even a little bit was like serving a 5-course meal and having the palate cleanser be the tastiest part of it. The campaign also just wasn't interesting. The characters were generally generic and mediocre, and then the last mission had some like anti-robot, like, oh, it's gonna be us versus the machines thing that was never alluded to prior. Honestly, looking back on it, Titanfall 2 made Titanfall 1's campaign a little better, because the characters that are speaking to you on the top right corner are like Blisk and militia lady person, I don't remember her name very well, but those are genuine characters in Titanfall 2. You also had Spyglass, the robot guy for the IMC, who has the most baller voice.
All Spectre forces on the assembly line will be activated, and the terrorists
You know
will
what he
have
reminds me
nowhere to
of?
run.
The look of that robot reminds me of the freaking the little bots from Zoids. Ready, fight! Like it reminds me of Zoids.
But repeating the last expression I just said, Titanfall's world building was A+. You may pass go, collect $200, fantastic from the word go. The universe of the frontier started off strong, and each of these mini campaign cutscenes added so much character to the universe despite the campaign being mid. Whether it's the arrival of IMC ships into the atmosphere, or a militia dropship going down, or my favorite in the game, the gorgeous orbital drop as the IMC on the planet of Demeter.
You gotta imagine that this is inspired from Halo ODST. Halo ODST, you have a scene like similar to this where you're your orbital drop, and that's what they say, orbital dropship troopers, and you get to see like the whole process of coming from the freighters and being just dropped down to the planet. Great scenes.
Stand by. Approaching shock layer.
Titanfall's military universe may have been fleshed out in Titanfall 2, and it's more.
There's our girl Ash. If you're an Apex player, that's where Ash came from. She was in Titanfall, using her Ronin gun. Here's the thing about Titanfall. This is just a quick little rant. Titanfall, I enjoy for the most part, but here's a thing about Titanfall. Titanfall is a game that has a pretty big skill curve, including not just the gameplay itself, but the Titans themselves. Each Titan plays differently, and like a lot of like the North Star Ronin players who are really good can be the most frustrating people to go up against. Even if you're good yourself with those, people who are good at Ronin and North Star can legit carry an entire game.
Universe in Apex, but it would be a bold-faced lie to say it didn't start off strong with its world building. The thing that makes it really stand out, though, more than anything, is how much they've tried to stick to this milsim sci-fi hybrid. When you create a class, the characters are determined by if you're on the militia or the IMC team, and based on whether you are using one of 3 types of weapons: mid-range, close range, long range. And if you look closely at these characters, they really try hard to sell the military aesthetic. Between all of the molly pouches and systems, the ammo pouches, the belts carrying grenades, identification tags, it's a decked out military uniform in a gritty sci-fi universe, and God, they nailed it. It even translates to the Titans too. They're covered in identification text or numbers to show off their affiliation. And you know the fact that they're heavy machinery, right? Like all heavy machinery have warnings and instructions just slapped onto every inch of it. And with the complicated nature of the Titans, they really feel like big mechs retrofitted for war. Small things like when the Titan's weapon with no attachment doesn't say no attachment, it says factory issue. Hell, even the way the lights, they actually think the cameras it has when you embark on the Titan, and the screens light up one at a time to get that like pilot cockpit look with all the black lines. Dude, I'm drooling.
Little details.
I'm drooling, dude. Every square inch of this game is meant to feel like an understandable progression from modern day military hardware just in the future. The guns, especially, are no exception to this. It looks like they were made by people who actually know guns. The entire game is military geeks being told to do it again with sci-fi. I cannot stress how much the art style of this universe impresses me. This is why the game.
Here's like another little nugget about Titanfall. I know people are gonna like be mad about the pausing. Every map in Titanfall 1 and 2 were good maps. Very few games can say that. Very few games can say that all of their maps are well received, because a lot of games that have like maybe 3 good maps and all the rest are bad and things like that, or they might have like 5 good maps and like there's some bad maps usually in most multiplayer games. Titanfall 1, Titanfall 2, every single map I enjoyed.
Self straight is a good way to continually sell the universe. While humor can be presented here and there, they treat this war as a genuine freedom fighter versus the oppressors, or terrorists against the people, depending on the side you're on. When you load into the game, you aren't teleported onto the ground. No, you are teleported, as in jumped via dropship. The intro scene is something I want more games to have, because instead of just standing there with match begins in 15 seconds kind of countdown, you have the entire time in the dropship to jump out, pick a class, do all the things you need to do, and then go. Same thing with the ending, with the evac dropship as well. Every game feels like an in-universe battle, an in-universe system. It's like it's canon. It's like every multiplayer match is canon in the universe, and it just sells.
And again, I'm gonna pause again. And it comes to like the dropship, it made like a mini game essentially. Like if you were someone who was trying to get to dropship, it's like, okay, can I get to dropship without dying? Because you can still, even though it's the end of the game, you can still die. So you're trying to get to the dropship. You get more XP if you make it out the drop, make it into dropshipping and get out. But you're trying to like navigate around to get to dropship. You're pulling your Titan down to be an auto Titan, so it can like block core you and fight the enemies while you're trying to like ratchet away to the dropship. And then on the flip side, when you're the other players, you're like, can I destroy the dropship? Can I pick off any pilots who are trying to get to the dropship? So you're trying to do 2 things at once, trying to kill any like lingering pilots who are trying to get to dropship, and also at the same time trying to destroy the dropship for that extra XP. It's like a mini game within the game, and that's just so good.
Just sells it. Now, the gameplay you're seeing behind me is attrition, because that's really the only game mode that has decent players in it at the moment. But the idea of attrition is like team deathmatch, but with minions. These are grunts and specter robots on the ground that fight against you and each other to make the match feel much more wider scale. Then this does a couple of things. It lets you farm these enemies if you feel like it. It makes the game feel more action-packed, and it helps accentuate the power differences between you and a grunt. A pilot is given the same respect as a Spartan in Halo. You are the best of the best, and grunts being just kind of shitty AI fodder for you to kill is not just fun, but also serves to show how much more insane you are in this universe. You get the best gear, best tactics, best training, a goddamn robot, and you use it to the best of your ability. Speaking of gear, creating a class in Titanfall is about as standard as they come. In fact, maybe a bit too standard. It's a primary weapon in which there are only 10, 3 sidearms, 4 anti-Titan weapons, 3 different abilities, as well as ordnance and 2 perks. Now, ironically, because I can't seem to escape COD Ghosts, this game came out roughly the same time frame as Ghosts, and it boasted a significantly larger amount of class customization. The entirety of Titanfall's customization is very small. Even your weapons only had a couple options for sights or attachments. One could argue less is more, but when you break it down, and especially when you compare it to the sequel, there's just a really limited amount. Like there's only 1 shotgun, EVA 8, 2 snipers, 3 ARs, and 2 SMGs, and 1 LMG, and the smart pistol. My beloved. Not because I use it much, God no. An auto-locking pistol in a PvP game is horrifying. It's just such a badass looking weapon. It's so cool. Its design is sleek, and that scene in Titanfall 2 is just, but then the pistols are also lacking, besides the smart pistol. Anti-Titan weapons are fine though. You get 4 options on that one. But your ability uses its cloak, stim, and seeing through walls. The perks are also nothing really to write home about. It's a lackluster amount of choice. I think that Titanfall 2 could have used more options as well, but that is still leaps and bounds more than Titanfall 1. But Bricky, what about Titan customization? Ah, yes, of course. Your other half. Well, it's still a bit small. You have 3 chassis: the Atlas, the Strider, and the
I feel like a lot of that is something for a game that was like the first Titanfall.
Fast, and fine.
Your first game's always going to be like a little more naked than anything else.
Then you have
first
your tactical ability, ordnance, and 2 perks. This I'm perfectly okay with. It has problems that will come later, but for Titans, you can deck it out in a lot of fun ways to suit your playstyle, and it gives you a lot of variety. Not just for the map you're playing on, but how you want to deal with Titan on Titan or Titan on pilot gameplay. Gameplay, speaking of, for the most part, still rocks. Titanfall 1's gameplay is held up for the most part. It's breaking down a little bit. It's got a cane and needs a little help getting up the stairs, but by God, is it still a blast to sit down and play this game. There was one thing that was extremely absent from me, though, when I sat down, however. That's a slide button. Did you know Titanfall 1 didn't have a slide button? It didn't have a slide button. That's like the thing that makes Titanfall 2's movement. I mean, no, it's really the wall running actually, but no,
you move so fast in Titanfall, you didn't really need a
slide button. I was convinced it had a slide button. I lied to myself and thought there was sliding. There's no sliding. There's no slide button. I mean, it's not a really big deal, but I'm just shook. I remembered sliding in Titanfall 1. There's no slide button. Anyway, when you jump into a casual game of attrition in 2023, it still feels rather good. The nice part of attrition is that even if you as a player don't do particularly well at killing other pilots or titans, you can still kill the grunts and feel like you're contributing because they count towards the score. So in a sense, you really are. It might be something I recommend too, because the only people still playing this game are very, very good at it. And Titanfall as a series, 1, 2, and if we are counting Apex, have a notoriously high skill ceiling. When you learn the game's foundation and fundamentals and put them to the test, you feel like what a pilot is supposed to be. Jumping off of walls, throwing grenades at grunts to kill 4 of them, and then gunning down 2 pilots, calling in the Titan and proceeding to go on a tear. Every single game has trailer moments. Battlefield be damned. You want trailer moment gameplay? This is and will forever be the series for that. The guns sound great too. They feel crisp to shoot with just enough recoil to feel their weight. Grenades and explosives give just the right amount of blast, and Titan movement along with their warning sounds and Titan AI voices just show that so much detail went into every little bit. And the maps. Oh my God, the maps. Titanfall 1 has some of the best maps of any first-person shooter game, period. If you had to ask me, gun to my head, knife to my throat, which FPS has the best multiplayer, I'd say, why do you have an erection? And then I'd say probably Halo 3, then Titanfall 1. These maps do something that no other game has to do. It has to create an area that is open enough to have Titan v Titan gameplay, yet still enough cover for it to be dynamic. And then have smaller areas within that map for pilots to duke it out and hide from the Titans, while at the same time creating a map that allows you to wall run it across the entire length of it. So you need to balance 3 completely different gameplay styles: Titan on Titan, Titan on pilot, and pilot on pilot, and make it flow with the movement system you've implemented and be able to play it as if the floor is lava. And they pulled it off. How? That is a monumental task. That's insanity. How did you do it? Lagoon, Angel City, Corporate, Haven, Outpost 207, Airbase, again and again. These maps blow Titanfall 2 out of the water. I'm sorry. Those maps aren't bad, but compared to TF1, they are getting
I'll say this. I'll say this about Titanfall 2 maps versus Titanfall 1 maps. A lot of Titanfall 2 maps are actually just the same maps. Like Angel City is in freaking Titanfall 2. But the one map that Titanfall 2 has that rivals Titanfall 1's map, War Games.
War Games! War Games!
Oh, here it is!
War Games! War Games!
my arm on my wall. So much so that it seems that Respawn knew that and brought back a ton from the first game. See, if you never played Titanfall 1 before, but played a lot of 2, it might surprise you that all of these maps were from the first game. Angel City, War Games, Relic, Colony, and Rise. All of them from Titanfall 1. It's astounding how well these maps play considering the requirements they had. Astounding. But despite how fun the game is and how well it plays, it only takes about 3 to 5 games to really start to see the flaws in it. The first major one is balance. Titanfall 1 is a superbly unbalanced game. Certain weapons are just flat out superior on both a Titan and a pilot basis. The Spitfire is really underwhelming, all the pistols suck, and certain anti-Titan weapons are clear winners versus the others. I was surprised how much damage the Archer rocket does, and how terrible the Sidewinder was. Not to mention Sonar Pulse, it's kind of broken from a pilot perspective, probably why they turned it into a knife in the second game, and the perks are just kind of horrible when stacked against each other. You really think I'm going to take increased wall running over faster reload? Then you get to the Titans, and this is the more egregious one. Of the 6 weapons, there are 2 that are far and above better than all the rest. Arc Cannon and Chain Gun, straight up. These blow the others out of the water 10 times over. The other ones are totally usable. Triple threat grenades can be nasty, but it isn't like those 2. Also, when every Titan can have Vortex Shield, it's really hard not to take it. And you might say Electric Smoke is good, but you're all taking Cluster Missile instead, because you're gonna do the classic, shoot the Cluster Missile against the wall, back up, and kill the pilot on your back. Why would you take Smoke when you're always taking Cluster Missile? Titan customization is a double-edged sword, because while it may be fun to customize things up, it also means everyone can have everything, which grants you the most powerful items to everyone. You do not know true pain until you've dealt with a really good Arc Cannon user. You just haven't. Titans, though, also die superbly quick in this game compared to Titanfall 2. And it may not be genuinely faster. Like, if you had to compare the time to kill on both sides, they might be the same, but it's a lot of the other factors that go into it. Titanfall 1 has a readability problem, which we'll talk about in a bit, but very often when you start taking lots of damage as your Titan, you just can't see anything. Your game shakes, things are yelling at you, everything's bouncing around, you just can't see anything, so you can't react properly. People will just blast you and you won't know from where or how, and then your health bar will sink. Not to mention, if you are doomed, being doomed doesn't mean you just can't get your health back or anything. You slowly die as a doomed Titan until you eventually explode. Also, rodeoing a Titan in this game is so much better. See, in Titanfall 2, they changed up a lot of things and almost deserves its own video, if I'm being honest. All the things Titanfall 2 did better than its original. But when a pilot is rodeoing a Titan, they pull out a battery, which is awesome because it helps your teammates, but it also gets you off the Titan immediately. When you rodeo a Titan in Titanfall 1, you're on there with your gun shooting its weak parts forever. You do not have to get off the Titan until it is dead. The only way to remove you are having another Titan kill them using Electric Smoke, which you probably haven't taken, or, and what most people do, is the cluster rocket on the wall turn their back to blow you up method, or get out, which is not a good idea. Let me tell you, you will kill a Titan in about 2 magazines. It is so fast how quickly you take down Titans.
Yeah, so basically what it really is there's so many more options to lead to a Titan dying in Titanfall 1 to where Titanfall 2 that's not that many options. Again, when it comes to rodeo and you take a battery out instead of shooting a Titan, there's a lot less options to shoot Titans. And another issue when it came to like Titanfall as a whole is that, like, because of the map size, which again maps are all good, but because of the map size, and you can just be getting shot from anywhere and everywhere and not have no idea where you're getting shot from just because of the map size.
Has you survive longer, maybe not from a damage perspective, but from an everything else perspective. But while balance issues in Create a Class and Titans are present, they are also present outside of it. Introducing the burn card system, an awesome concept that has zero place in a PvP shooter, at least in its current implementation. The burn card system is basically using your prestige to call in favors. You can create a hand from your deck every match for a total of 3 cards, and once they are used, they are gone forever. These can be things like having enemy AI targets ignore you, hacking specters faster, or double XP boosts. But then they can get a bit better, like amped weapons, weapons that do more damage, or better versions of your pilot's tactical ability. And sometimes they're just bananas, like map hack, seeing where everyone is permanently, or permanent vision pulse, or a free Titan you can call in immediately when the game starts. Burn cards are weighted on a rarity scale, of course, so the better ones will be less common. And sure, you'll die more than 3 times in a match, so you won't just be able to constantly spam burn cards. But there are 6 enemy players. That's 18 cards you have to deal with, and it only has to be one of them to spawn a Titan when the game starts for it to be a problem. Burn cards as an idea is really cool. The war is just a business mindset that the universe has, lots of mercenary usage and money dictating a lot of the war effort, calling in favors. It's a neat concept and solidifies our status as the badass pilot even more. But for a PvP game, it takes just a few good burn cards to ruin your day, and the aspect of randomness can be extremely infuriating, even if sometimes it can be really fun when you're the one using it, but that tends to be what happens when you have OP stuff. Then we get to some of the more technical things. A lot of this has been smoothed out in the sequel, but it shows that it was a problem here. First off, the game just, for me right now, runs really laggy. I'm not quite sure why that is specifically. It could be connections to certain things, I don't know. I'm hardwired into my Xbox, but it just feels very laggy sometimes. However, readability is the big problem with this game. Understanding when damage is going through. That is confusing, if downright impossible to understand in moments of high activity. There is a lot going on screen, but where shots come from can just be tough to see. Now, it's not as bad when Titan on Titan, but as a pilot, being shot at is basically, I'm normal to death. The feedback of a pilot shooting you as opposed to everything else is not well shown. I think it serves as an important lesson of the topic of player feedback. See, in the sequel, I still think taking damage is a bit tough to tell. Granted, the game is an extremely fast time to kill, so parsing it is a bit tough on its own, but gunfire from other pilots is louder, more distinct, and easier to identify in the sequel. In the first game, especially on the busier maps, it's a crapshoot. Calling in the Titan is not just to make me big robot man, but also to save me from the confusion of pilot versus pilot battles, which also just replaces it with the confusion of Titan versus Titan battles. Oh, and yeah, okay, listen. The smart pistol is really not that good. The time to lock on fully to a pilot is like over a New York minute, and the actual time to kill of every other gun is about half that of the smart pistol. But yeah, getting insta-killed by a gun that aims for you is not what I would call the best example of skill, no matter how awesome it is, because running into grunts and doming them all is indeed awesome and will never not be satisfied. But let's just say they made the right call when they turned it into a boost in Titanfall 2. That being said, I want to commission a replica, engravings and all. It's a thing of beauty. One of my favorite fictional weapons out there. Hell, I commissioned a whole seer kit. Data knife, pistol, hanging on the wall. Oh, to dream.
I was
I've got
an
money.
alternator main.
I'll do it.
In Titanfall
Annoyances
2.
aside, the game still plays better than many modern
even
day
Apex is one of
shooters,
my most used
even
weapons.
pushing 10 years of age. Its cracks start to show a few games in per day, and after about game 5, things start to annoy me, or players just stomp me pretty hard, and I put it down and try it again the next day, and then I have fun again, which, putting it down when I'm mad is probably healthy. Take note, Valorant player.
Why didn't you wall off mid?
What the f do you mean? It's first round and I want to play for picks.
Just play the damn game.
The f do you mean play the damn game? But wait! There's more!
Now, Titanfall 1
Also,
did
I
get...
can't stress that enough what he said when it comes to, like, put the controller down when you're getting upset. Do that. A lot of y'all get way too pissed off at video games and would just keep beating yourselves over the head and over whatever when y'all are mad. Just put the controller down, take a fucking deep breath, and take a break, because it's just, at the end of the day, it's just a video game. Like, this is what I said before on my Twitch stream and during some videos, that as a variety content creator, I have that glorious ability of, if a game is annoying me, I can turn it off and play something else. Whereas most content creators, if a game's pissing them off, their option is, I'm ending my stream because I'm mad at this game and I don't want to do anything else other than, go sit in my room and freaking brr. So bye, chat. And it's like, no, you can't let the game you play dictate your content. But again, put the controller down. I've dated somebody before who was like really into Overwatch, and this isn't a shot at her. She was a great person. But when it came to like Overwatch, she was massively obsessed with it, to where when it pissed her off, talking to her was like not happening. Like she wouldn't talk. She would be very upset. Things would just piss her off. And it's like, it's just a video game. Y'all need to understand that it's just a video game. Put the controller down, relax.
Some post-launch support in the form of multiple map packs. Remember those map packs? Wow. And other additions to the in-game systems themselves. Now, there were 3 DLC packs in total: Expedition, Frontier's Edge, and IMC Rising. Each contained 3 new maps for the game at $10 a piece. Pretty standard for the industry at the time. However, what was really exciting was Game Update 8. Game Update 8 was a major patch for the game that added the beloved Frontier Defense game mode, a co-op wave defense mode that had you fighting off wave after wave of enemies to protect strategic points. Frontier Defense continues to be a subtle favorite of quite a lot of players. While not eclipsing the game's main modes, there are many I know who just swear by it as the most underrated thing about these games. But along with Game Update 8, they also add a multitude of new game modes, new achievements, a ranked mode, and a complete revamp of something they called the Black Market. The Black Market is an in-game shop that used in-game currency to buy a multitude of things. Now, this currency would be in the form of credits and be given to the player for completing matches and challenges. They could spend these credits on burn card packs, Titan customization, and the premier highlight, Titan OS voices. Tons of options through a variety of not just genders and personalities, but languages as well. All of this being completely free of charge and just to be earned in-game. Speaking of free of charge, on March 11th, 2015, the Season Pass and all map pack DLC was made free to download to celebrate the game's first birthday. Titanfall 1 truly had excellent post-launch support. While map packs some that have gone away due to segregation of player bases, the extra modes, Frontier Defense, and the Black Market all come together, coming out for free, then getting the DLC for free is something really special. There's a reason I'm a Gen 5 pilot in this game. Gen 6 once I finish these damn challenges. For all its faults, Titanfall 1 is still a damn fun game, and its slow degradation is something to really be sad about. Titanfall 1 suffered excessive DDoS and hacking attacks for a while on PC, and the game was pulled from stores early 2022 because of that. I can't imagine this is something that those who worked on the game wanted to see. My guess is EA didn't want to allocate the personnel or the budget to keep people trying to keep a mostly dead game alive still. The same issues we were seeing in Titanfall 2 for quite a while as well. And it's really only thanks to the North Star client that the game can function to the extent it does. Funny enough, a lot of people don't seem to realize the DDoSing of Titanfall 2 has mostly stopped. I can load up a game easily without North Star, but it's evident that if it starts up back again, EA won't do anything about it, which is a real fucking shame because this game symbolizes so much. Like the name Respawn can even be used as an allegory to the death of those at Infinity Ward respawning in a new place, a new company, new game. The modern day cash cow, right, Apex Legends, has its roots here in Titanfall 1, more so than you might realize. The universe was built here. There are developers that created it and now foster and maintain it. Hell, here I am loading up on the map Boneyard. Look a little familiar? Skulltown on Kings Canyon? Anyone? Like developer interviews.
Guys?
Don't nobody give a fuck about Scream.
Interviews on Titanfall 1 have people who are still interviewing for Apex now. When researching this video, I saw a developer interview 9 years old talking about modeling the Titans. And in the background, there's Bloodhound and a Pathfinder Legendary skin. Before Apex was even a thought in someone's brain, almost a decade ago, Bloodhound was here. But things are different now. Did Respawn just trade one evil company for another? Is this just the path development companies tread when they become large enough? I have no idea. But what I do know is that Titanfall 1's days are most likely numbered. This is an online multiplayer game only, and the player count is dwindling even on console. See, I was excited to celebrate its 10-year anniversary next March, but it might end up becoming its funeral. Online-only games are dying in droves as the server costs outweigh the cost of keeping it up, the end state of all online-only games. Titanfall 2 may keep on because of its stellar campaign, but we all have seen what happens when the wrong people get the keys to its multiplayer. Titanfall 1 is where it all began, and for all of its faults, there's a level of strength in its development. There's excitement and passion in its story. A group of men and women done wrong by their higher-ups going going to create something with more ingenuity and zeitgeist than anything their prior company has done for years to come. And now its embers are fading after an incredible sequel, a divisive battle royale, and a canned third installment. If this game is still kicking on Xbox come March 11th, I'll be celebrating its 9-year anniversary this year. And, you know, next year, hopefully it's 10th. I'm logging on the 11th, and hope you'll join me too. Maybe I'll stream it. Kind of a bittersweet thing to end it on. I like the game a lot. It really is part of the younger me. It's so interesting watching it come alive and spending so much time with the game and with the sequel. And despite not being very good at it, still playing enough Apex. People hate Apex because they think it's the reason we didn't get Titanfall 3. It's not. As you could tell, they were trying for it. I blame Electronic Arts. You could buy this shirt. This is Elden Ring, kinda, you know. You got Grace. It's a No Maidens one too, workateight.com. That's about it. I'm hoping to get 1 million subscribers because then we'll be doing Mass Effect videos. Kind of want to make a video talking about what Titanfall 2 did better than Titanfall 1. Might be interesting to see the changes because there's a lot of them. No,
make a Titanfall 2 video.
Thanks, everyone. It was a pleasure having you here.
Like, seriously, Bricky, make a Titanfall 2 video. Like, this video is all about Titanfall 1, but you need to make a Titanfall 2 video because Titanfall 2, it deserves all the praise that it gets. And, you know, it might be harder to find some Titanfall 2 video or like games because of the whole, you know, potential of the DDoS attacks and whatnot. But if you can, you know, I would like to see Bricky's opinion on Titanfall 2 and things like that. But that's it for this video. Thank y'all for watching. As I always say at the end of these videos, at the beginning of these videos, show the people who be watching our reaction videos some love. Go to their channel, watch the original video, give them a like. If you want and you enjoy the content, give them subscribe. And at the same time, do that here. If you enjoy my content, leave a like. The like, more than anything else, helps channels grow. And also subscribe so we can get to 1,000 so we can do some live streams here on Twitch. Not Twitch, on YouTube. Derp. As always, though, you should follow on Twitch. Links in the description box below. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Y'all stay safe. Y'all be true to yourselves. Be kind. It's free to be kind. I've been your boy Numismata here. Deuces.